What is up, everybody? Hope you guys are having a great day. My name is Chris Weiser here with one of my superstar MSP clients, Melanie Padron. How are you doing, Melanie?
I'm doing great. How are you today?
I'm so good. We're both in the state of Texas. I'm in Austin. Melanie's up in Dallas. So we're like 3 hours apart, give or take.
Yep.
And how you doing? You're having a good day today? Everything's good?
I am. I'm having a great day today. I started off at a networking event at the chamber here, which I love our local chamber, and just picked up my kid from school. So having a great day.
Just hanging out. I love it. So you have been, and actually, this is a really cool opportunity for me to interview you because I kind of saw your new deal that you closed, and I'm like, okay, I gotta we obviously know each other decently, and we do our live events and all, and you were a guest speaker at our Dallas Road show and all this different stuff, but you're kind of unique because you've been closing some really big deals, all cybersecurity focused. You work with Derek. Why don't you give a little background on what your company is that you guys have, and then we'll get into the deal that we're going to work while we get some people into the room here.
Super. Yeah. So I work for IT architects. We're obviously an MSP with a security first mindset, which we always say makes us just a little bit different than some of the other IT shops out there because we do focus heavily on cybersecurity, proactively protecting our customers from, cyber attacks. And I work for Derek Vayon. We're a proudly veteran owned and operated company, and we're strong but mighty. There's only about 10 of us, so there's nothing large or extraordinary as far as just the size of our staff goes. We're just all super dedicated to what we do. We love it. We kind of nerd out on it. It's why we get out of bed in the morning. We all love our jobs, and just I joke with Derek all the time. I'm like, is this really work? Because I'm having a lot of fun.
And it's kind of funny because I had an MSP for 10 years. You and I've never really talked about that, but I had an MSP for 10 years, and times have changed. It's something that we say a lot in our 7-figure MSP coaching program, but even running an MSP has really changed. And being in the driver's seat, being in the sales seat, it used to be all about, and most MSPs that are still out there are still selling computers and still selling servers. And and I'm not saying that's not a focus, but it's something that you're kind of moving, I don't want to say secondary or maybe even tertiary, but you're moving it down the line. And the important things now are specifically focusing and leading with cybersecurity. So that's kind of what the strategy that you guys have been taking. How long have you been working for Derek now?
Almost a year, May 1st, 1 year anniversary. Yep.
Yeah. So you guys have been taking that strategy pretty much since you started. I think you've been, and you moved Derek kind of to the more of the CEO role, and you're client facing now from a sales standpoint.
Correct.
All that's accurate.
Yes, it is. And we started as a break fix shop, and we've been moving away from that, slowly upgrading starting with our existing clients. And then this most recent deal is totally new business, though, which makes it exciting.
Yeah, and you've had a bunch of those. So what we're going to work through, guys, in a few minutes is we're going to kind of walk through Melanie's new deal that she closed. I want to kind of talk a little bit about your background really quick, but we're going to work through and kind of talk about Melanie's new deal that she closed, which we got some serious numbers that we're talking here. And I want you guys to see that are watching this both live with us here right now and on the recording, what this can be done, how this can be done. Actually, more importantly, that it can be done. And also what's really important, and I really want to focus on this, Melanie, we've talked about this a good amount. You're not technical.
Nope, not at all. Not at all.
So what industry did you come from?
I have been in the insurance industry for 25 years. My whole career, I've been in insurance. So, I mean, I do understand risk. I've always helped businesses understand and manage their risk on the reactive side after a loss has occurred. And so now I didn't realize it when Derek hired me, but he could see the correlations. The risk is risk. Now I'm helping proactively. I'm helping businesses understand and avoid risk.
Versus like picking up the pieces when a tornado hits or a fire or a flood or anything, or a car accident or any of those things. What kind of insurance did you sell?
Yeah, I did property and casualty. I was primarily in personal lines, everything from I marketed insurance products to independent agents. So I did everything from flood insurance to homeowners insurance, non-standard auto, a little bit of commercial here and there.
Yeah. So I personally think, and I agree with Derek, that this gave you a very unique place, a very unique position that you can focus on this because you already know how to position risk as a problem and as an issue. Would you agree or disagree with that?
Yeah, no, totally. I do understand risk.
Yeah. And so I think that's really critical. And for you guys that are watching this, I want you to be very conscious of how important that message is. Melanie is non-technical. She's client facing. So you are the sales. What's your exact title?
I'm the director of business development. So
Yep,
sales, marketing, all the things.
Yep. So DBD, head of sales, effectively, like write all that stuff. Like, you know, probably almost head of revenue at this point. I've begun because I think you're doing a lot of marketing stuff too. But not and the traditional MSP role, and this is what I really want to focus on this, and we're going to break down your deal here. The traditional MSP sales role is pretty damn technical, like almost over the top technical, probably too technical. And I think this I don't know you say I think, but without question, it has caused problems for the MSP because it becomes all about the tech and all about the tools and all about the delivery of those services versus talking about the risk and focusing on that risk. How big of an issue do you think that is? And do you see that there's a big opportunity that you're able to like almost seize because the people you're walking into are talking about tech and you're talking about risk?
Yeah, I do. So I actually, when I first came into this, I was really concerned that I wasn't technical enough. And I thought that that was going to be to my detriment. It was going to be an obstacle I had to overcome. And honestly, I talk the way our customers talk.
Yeah.
I don't use technical language. So when I explain things, I explain them in really simple analogies that people can understand because that's how I understand it. And thankfully, I do work with my cybersecurity officer and I work with Derek, and they're technical. So when they need to step in and answer those technical questions, they're right there to help me. But for the most part, it's become a strength because I talk to people on a real basic level that they can understand.
Get down to what they can understand. And I think, one of the things that I've seen in you, and especially when I sat there with when you presented at our Dallas Roadshow and watching how you present, you're very strong on stage. You have like amazing stage. You may not even know this, I'm not sure, but you have really, really solid, amazing stage presence. And it really helps to convey the message, and you're a good speaker. Those things. So I think your messaging comes across really, really well and really strong. And then the specific, like, so you deliver well, but we're talking about and focusing on the risk. And I think that's really critical. So all of you guys that are watching this live and on the recording with us, think about your own organization. Think about your MSP, your IT firm, your break fix shop, like Melanie and Derek used to be. And then say, how are we communicating with the clients? Is it all tech focused? Is it all tool focused? Or are we talking about risk? Are we talking about cybersecurity? And hey, you're going to get hacked. Are these messages that you're using right now? You're going to get hacked. What's going to be the plan when it happens?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
which I love. So, okay. And we're probably going to have some questions come in. If anybody's watching this and has any questions, feel free to chime in with us. But I have some things that I want to talk about with this, and we're going to try and keep this, under 30 minutes here. Okay. Let's talk about, you've had a couple of really solid large deals. Let's take just a second and talk about that one that you presented really quick on this. You presented this at the Roadshow because there's something unique in there. You closed a deal, pretty decent sized deal. You just, we just talked about it as your Mona Lisa a couple minutes ago in the green room here. You thought that was your Mona Lisa. Now this new one's your Mona Lisa. But they also, so you closed this deal. We'll talk about that in a second, but then they also had a breach, I think, right? So, and
right.
So I want to talk about what the deal was, that first deal that was your original Mona Lisa. Then I want to talk a little bit about the breach, and then let's come into the new deal that you sold the CSRA for. So let's describe what that first deal was really quick.
Okay. So the first deal was an existing customer that we, proposed cybersecurity to. We upgraded them to our full cybersecurity stack, and it took about 6 months. We originally presented in July, and when it came back around time to, say, okay, you, Mr. Customer said, we're going to make this decision. So we came back around and had another meeting in July, and he said, okay, let's do it. So from July to December, it was a big customer. Really big. I wish I remembered exactly how big off the top of my head, but it took us several months to get them onboarded. And just like when we finished, when everything was humming along smoothly, they got hit with a ransomware attack. Thank goodness. They heeded the warning. They upgraded. They took our advice. We were just handling, project work for them. and they upgraded.
Effectively, they were a break fix client that you were handling.
Exactly. Yep. And so they were hit with ransomware. All of the tools worked the way they were supposed to. Our incident, the bells and whistles went off. The incident response plan went into play. Our teams broke into action. We engaged a forensics investigation, isolated everything. The forensics investigation did take 5 days. Okay, there's nothing you can do about that. You have to give them.
Honestly, that's really short. I will tell you that. Like usually it's like 2 weeks to 2 months, somewhere in there. But 5 days is great. That's probably because you had stuff in play, honestly.
We did. And we had the stuff in play that we learned from Seven Figure, and they complimented us. They told the customer how fortunate they were that they were dealing with an MSP. They told us we were in the top 5% of MSPs.
Wow.
They deal with.
That's pretty cool.
So when we got the green light from them, we were able to get them back up and running in 18 hours, which to me is phenomenal. What's even more phenomenal is that they had no data loss and no data encryption. So this is like the perfect story of going to your book of business, saying things have changed. The tools we used to protect you yesterday are not enough for today. This is what you need. Now, during that time, I should say this, during the time when they were deciding, we had given them a risk acceptance letter. We said, listen, while you make this decision, we can't be responsible for, you getting hacked because we know you're not protected enough. And this is what we're recommending. And until you implement what we recommend, it has to be clear. It's not a letter that they have to sign. It's not acceptance, as in they have to sign it. It's just a risk notification letter.
A statement, like in fact, you had told me the insurance industry does this all the time too. To where they say, okay, your coverage has changed because your situation's changed. Boom, here's how it's going to be. If you don't like it, too bad.
Yep.
Right. Yeah.
Yep.
So I just wanted to highlight that, guys, as an existing client example. Also, this is a great example of they're going to get breached. The amount of MSPs that are terrified to have a conversation with their clients around, you're going to get breached. You're going to have a problem. Times have changed. We have to do things differently. That's a great example of how true that is. Would you agree with that, Melanie?
I would. And how good do I feel? And how powerful is my story now when I go out and tell people, listen, things have changed. That's not enough anymore. Do you know, I believe that with my whole heart because I've seen the whole thing work from soup to nuts. And we're battle tested now.
Yeah. And a thing that's really important for the rest of you guys to remember, that doesn't mean you're a bad MSP. They're all like, I stand in a room of, you've watched me do this in Dallas. I stand in that room and I say, hey, everybody raise your hand. Everybody's got their hand up in the whole room. Who can prevent all hacks? All the IT guys' hands go down. All the MSP owners' hands go down. Okay, so we've established that we all know we can get hacked. Why are we leaving these clients susceptible? Well, I don't want them to cancel.
It's uncomfortable.
Yes, it's a difficult conversation. So it's mission critical to do. Okay, so thanks for that. I love that. It's great groundwork that we laid here.
Yeah.
Now I want to talk about your new deal. So that was an existing client. You guys were break fix. We're going through the whole book of business, running what we call it in seven figure land. Seven figure MSP land is running the play. So you were running the play on your existing clients, but now you're actually you are in our chief marketing coach, Lindsay Badillo. You're in her program. You're in the Leads Mastery program. We're actively attacking new business, right? We're going after new different things. Let's walk through this new deal that you guys got, because I specifically want to talk about this because now you got a brand new Mona Lisa. You got your fifth symphony, I think is this one. Maybe I think we're going to get bigger ones, but let's talk about what that deal is. And then I got a couple questions as we'll go here too. Okay.
So just a little backstory on how we met this, because this is new business. So it did come from us attending a convention. It was also last summer. We attended a convention where, we met an executive from a company in our targeted vertical, which is also something that we do. We picked a vertical, we've targeted on it. We've been working towards becoming the industry leader in cybersecurity in this vertical. And honestly, I'll never forget the look on her face when she reluctantly told us about a ransomware attack that they had the year before. And they had an MSP. They thought they were handling cybersecurity. Okay. They had an IT. They had IT department. MSP thought they were handling cybersecurity, but just now we know a plethora of things just weren't set up right, which left them vulnerable to this attack.
And this is a pretty large business, right?
Huge, 300 million.
Yeah. So big company, big opportunity.
Big
had
opportunity.
A ransomware attack a year ago.
Mm-hmm. So they paid the ransom, but sadly, even after they paid the ransom, they had encrypted files. And when they talked to us last summer at the convention, they were still struggling to regain control of their environment and their data. And over a year later, okay.
Wow.
So of course, what we did was we pitched a cybersecurity risk assessment. We pitched, well, we can come in and do, a complete security review of your company. And they were just so gun shy. They were like walking on eggshells. That it didn't happen right away. They didn't just say, okay, come in and do it.
It took you like 3 or 4 months to close just the CSRA, right?
Yes, we nurtured this relationship for several months. We did phone calls. We did video calls. We even traveled several hours to their office.
Side note, you guys are in Dallas. They are in South Texas.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Yes. And so we traveled several hours to their office, and, this goodwill back and forth that ultimately built up to this trusting relationship. We found out that there had never really been a proper forensics investigation or insurance investigation. And so they finally did agree to the risk assessment. So it was a big one.
Do you mind talking about what the numbers are on that?
I'm open book. Yep. It was 24 servers and 250 workstations. So we're talking like 274 endpoints. Okay. And we followed the 7-figure model, which we're taught to, it's $1,500 for the first 10 and then $100 for each after. So if you do the math on that, the total CSRA was $27,900.
So I want you guys that are listening to this, especially now, side note, I know this is a big deal, but this works on single person shops, baseline $1,500. That should be your get out of bed number on a CSRA. Melanie went to a company that's a larger company and sold a cybersecurity risk assessment for $27,900. I want you to be mindful of that. This is a real thing that really happened. This is why I want to show you guys that this is an opportunity, and you should stop giving away network assessments, business checks. Like, stop giving the stuff away. Yeah. This is an opportunity. Now you have to sell it the right way. And I think this is really important. You had all your rapport that you had built and all this, the nurtured relationship and all these different things. Any thoughts around how to close that opportunity or how to keep that deal warm? Because this is a big company, but even, you've gone all the way down the ladder, all the way down to your smaller ones too. Any thoughts from you on that?
Yeah, well, I was just going to say, side note, just this week, I went out and sold a $2,500 CSRA to a 20-seat firm. So there's no difference in how you run the play or how you sell that or how you nurture that or how you build the trust. You show the risk, you explain that there are security gaps and vulnerabilities
every time, right?
It is. So
20 user shop, 300 user shop, doesn't really matter.
So yes, we're talking about this big deal because it's sensationalized and it's fun, but I do the same thing on the smaller ones. So, you know what? I'll admit, Chris, we had a lot of trash talk on that big number, $27,900. We went back and forth. We had some heated discussions on whether that was too much money.
So you're talking about internally.
Internally, absolutely.
You guys were negotiating with yourselves as to this was too much to charge.
Derek was the original OG tech guy. He was saying it was too much. And I said, Derek, you're putting me through this 7-figure program and this is what they say. And you're paying me to tell you what I've learned. And so we just kind of went back, not butting heads. That's not right. But he trusts me enough. He trusts this program enough and what I've learned enough to say, okay, hey, you're right. This is your job. This is your wheelhouse. I'm going to let you do you, and I'm going to trust the process. And we did.
I think that's really key. So a thing that I will see for the rest of you guys out there, first of all, if you are the owner operator and doing all your sales, you got to find a process that works for you. It's got to be a scalable process, and it's got to be a repeatable. Probably more important, I think, is repeatable. Most of the processes will scale, like our 7-figure process scales, but more importantly, it repeats. And you guys, specifically you, Melanie, in your seat, are very consistent about delivering that consistently, right?
Mm-hmm. And we get better and better. We started with our smallest customers that it didn't matter if I messed up. It didn't matter if they said no. It didn't matter if we lost the business because they were just break fix clients and they were so small. And while I was learning, while I was getting like my wheels under me, it wasn't so much pressure. We didn't go after this biggest deal on my first run. You said, I've repeatedly done this over and over, and I've gotten, of course, the more times you do it, the better you get. So
yeah, absolutely. Okay, so you sold the CSRA, $27,900 cybersecurity risk assessment.
Yep.
What happened next?
Okay. So over the next 30 days, we ran that risk assessment on, our four core pillars of security, I guess you'd call them, like the people, the applications, the network, and the data. And Chris, the results were frightening. They were frightening. And we knew that we had to deliver this presentation in person. We do a lot of them on Zooms. A lot of times we'll have people come to our office, but in this case, we knew we had to fly down to deliver these results. And
making sure you're in front of the right decision makers.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one.
Yep. So of course we use the 7-figure sales presentation that we have templates for and we've been trained on. And at the end of that presentation, they were shocked. I am talking mouths open, jaws on the floor, head shaking, and eyes just wide open, because we had shown them specifically where their security gaps were at their company. We showed them the people clicking on links. We showed them the unencrypted data. We showed them patches that hadn't been done in 4 years. I mean, and this was not theoretical or conceptual. This is what we found at their company. So there was
showing the actual results and the actual risk, right?
Correct. Yes. Yep.
Anything that was like insanely stand out. Obviously, patching is all that stuff's there, but that's, pretty traditional MSP stuff. Anything that's cybersecurity focused or even password focused or anything that was a big standout that the owners saw or the decision makers saw.
We found lots of information on the dark web from the company and from the owners and from we found people that had administrative access that shouldn't, like so many people had administrative access when you should only have the access that you need to do the things that your job requires.
Yeah.
We, like I said, we found patching that hadn't done in 4 years. And when we brought their MSP in later in the day to talk about that, they admitted that they were just lazy with their patching. Applications hadn't been updated. I mean, it was grossly negligent, I think, at best. And they also had never done a proper forensics investigation or proper insurance filing. And so I honestly think there was some fraud and some laws broken, probably. It was flagrant. And they didn't really even defend themselves. So, they immediately signed our, that just opened it up for us later on to make our pitch. We were able to offer them, they wanted our help. They asked for our help.
Even the MSP asked for your help.
Yeah. Well, the MSP was just, they didn't know what to say. They admitted they were lazy. We're like, did you just actually call yourself lazy? And they did. They had this client in a multi-client environment. So if any one of the clients was attacked,
wow,
the criminal could move laterally to all the other companies, which honestly is what I think was happened. Even though our client was blamed, it looks like it probably came from somewhere else and moved laterally across, and they just got blamed for it. It was just a hot mess. I mean, literally.
It was actually probably potentially from the MSP in their multi-client environment.
Yes.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yes.
Wow. Okay.
So they wanted our help. We gave 3 quotes later when we got back. We gave our fully managed quote. We gave a co-managed security quote. And then we gave some quotes for some projects. They had asked us like about Azure migration and about phones. And so we gave those 3 options, and they immediately signed our co-managed MSSP. They said, absolutely, we want you to come in. We want you to handle our cybersecurity. We want you to start migrating us to Azure. And so that immediately happened, which I don't mind telling you the numbers on that either. It was $18,000 MRR for the co-managed.
Wow.
And we charge first month, last month, and onboarding. So it was a $54,000 immediate cash infusion when that contract was signed. And it was a 3-year contract. So the total on that was $648,000.
Wow.
For now, because they signed it. This is what's so exciting. They signed it with the understanding that once the security was taken over and onboarded, they would move to fully managed, and they would just pay the difference between that fully managed and that co-managed. Other exciting things are that Azure migration project is going to be about $20,000 to $50,000. So that's nice. And they did agree. They want us to do their phones. Their phones are a 3-year contract. It's an additional $4,200 MRR a month.
Wow.
And that total contract is just under $152,000. So there's all these different things that are coming in, plus the understanding that they're going to move to fully managed. There's that potential there for that.
Yeah. What's the timeline on that? Do you know?
Yeah. So we have an email from the CEO to the MSP telling them that we are completely moving to IT architects. We think it'll be about 30 to 60 days.
Wow. Well, I got to say congratulations to you, because that is a huge deal. Because I mean, you're talking 18K MRR. Do you know what the endpoint number is on that, or how many endpoints did they have, or what was your per endpoint charge for your co-managed?
So it's 274 endpoints. I don't know what that comes out to per seat on a co-managed.
I happen to have a calculator right here. So let's look. We got 18,000 divided by 274. So you're about this. That doesn't seem right. That says $66 an endpoint.
No, that's not right.
So much for my math. So much for my math.
My numbers might be off. So what I'll tell you is exciting is that when you look at what the MRR is going to be for the fully managed, that'll be 37,500 MRR per month. And if you add that to the phones, to the contract work, the deal ends up being about 1.5 million.
Yeah. Well, that's
over 3 years.
And this lead came from you guys having a trade show booth at an industry trade show specifically for that industry.
Yes, that's correct. Yeah. We kind
of. I remember when you guys did that booth, actually.
Mm-hmm. We've done it a couple of times. You know, we picked our target vertical like we've been trained. And here's Derek messaging me. He says it's 160 users. So
so we were just off on our numbers. Okay, yeah. that makes a little more sense. Yeah, thanks, Derek.
Yeah,
I love it.
Guy. There's my technical guy getting the numbers right for me. Yep. It's just super exciting because I know this. I don't want this to seem so sensationalized that people don't feel like it's attainable, because we're doing the same thing like on the CSRA.
On the small side, right? You got your 20 user network. Now, I definitely still recommend starting with a co-managed on a client like that, especially if they have their existing IT. But look what you've been able to do. You've been able to go in and get a 6-figure Azure project. You've been going in and get a 6-figure phone deal. You've been able to kind of like land and expand and sprawl out across the organization. And now they're seeing that there's so many holes everywhere. You're going to win the whole deal. I mean, this is insane. Super proud of you guys. Derek, I know you're watching. I'm super proud of you, my friend, as well. But Melanie, I also want to tell you, super props for listening to the program, paying attention to the program, executing on the program. And Derek, I want to say to you also, empowering her to do her job, not being a know-it-all, not being, you're trusting your talent, and that's a big deal.
He's done that from day one. He's super great about that. And, it's really a team effort. I talked about this in the Dallas Roadshow. We have our internal team, which is, Marcus, our cybersecurity officer. He, deploys the tools and delivers the results. And, I'm the salesperson. And then we have Derek, the owner, who's backing us up. It's really, we have a strong internal team, but then we have our 7-figure team, which is like our external team. We have Cindy and Lindsay and you and Ryan. And then we have our global team, and that's our peer group and this hive mindset. And we're never alone. We're never on an island. Like you say, there's never a time when you guys aren't always available, but guess what? There's always someone who is available, and the camaraderie in this group and the willingness and the helpfulness, it's unlike anything I've ever experienced. So,
I love it as well. I love
internal, external, and global. We have teams backing us and helping us along the way.
I don't know where that banner came from, but that's dumb user error problem. So there we go. Okay. Any final words? I know I wanted to keep it to 30 minutes. We're right at 30. Any final words that you want to say to our people that are watching? Any thoughts from you guys? Because we got a lot of cool stuff that you guys can get out of this. We'd love to help you. We'd love to have you guys work with us. I just wanted to make sure we came out here and we got a great case study here. That's a real one. And you kind of brought 3 to the table, actually. You got your small guy with your $2,500 CSRA you just did. We got the giant one with the $27,900 CSRA. And then we have your kind of one in the middle there, which was your original Mona Lisa, which I think that was still a larger project, but also had a breach on it. Any words that you want to say to anybody?
Oh, I think I would just say trust the process. Some of this stuff does not come natural. It doesn't seem like it would work. Use it as the framework and then kind of, make it your own and be authentic to you, but don't skip steps. Follow the training, get rid of the trash talk, believe that things have changed. I mean, now that we've seen a ransomware happen, a ransomware be prevented. Now
Yeah.
that we've seen that, like when I go out and talk to people, I have such conviction because I believe this to be true. I know this to be true. And having those signature stories is such a powerful thing. And if you don't have your own yet, use ours. Use ours.
Yeah, I love it. And that's a really good point too, because we have some of our members that are in your peer group with you that are using your actual experiences with your permission, obviously,
Sure.
as part of their, like, this happened to one of our sister companies in Dallas, Texas, like, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So I think it's a really good thing to do. This is why having a peer relationship is really critical. So, okay. Well, Melanie, thanks so much for coming on with me today. Thanks for making time. I think this is a great case study example. If you guys that are watching here want to talk to us, you can book a call with our guy, Jose, sevenfiguремsp.com/strategy call. We'd love to have you. Melanie's a great example of one of our great, amazing MSPs that are here in the States, but we have clients in Canada, Australia, honestly, all over the world. Melanie, you see the same success stories all over the world that are in our community now as well. So,
Yep.
So thanks so much for being with us today, and we'll see you guys later. Any final parting words, Melanie?
No, just thank you for everything. I appreciate it.
We appreciate you so much. Keep going.
You know what?
Keep doing it.
If I can do it, anyone can do it. I think that's a good one too.
I love it. Okay, we'll see you guys later. Melanie, thanks a lot. Have a good day. Take care, guys. Bye-bye.